Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pits of Motor Chaos. This is your host, Dave, and I got a line special guest, top alcohol funny car driver, Andy Bohl. How's it going, Andy?
Good. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. So now, Andy, first question I got for you is, how did you get into drag racing?
Well, I got into drag racing because my dad did it when I was a kid. I think he bought his Cuda when I was probably 12 or something, and just turned it into a drag car. He bought it as a street car and slowly turned it into a drag car and started racing it. When I was in high school, that got me into it.
So your dad drag raced a Cuda. So did he teach you how to work on cars when you were young?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I helped him work on it when I was a kid. And that's, and obviously I'm a mechanic now. I own my own business repairing cars. But yeah, that's pretty much how it started for me. As soon as I get my license, of course, I wanted to drive the car, so he let me drive it. It was a 9-second drag car, but when you're 16 and you let go of a trans brake on 600 horsepower, you think it's the coolest thing in the world. It's like a semi hits you. You're hooked.
So you did some drag racing with your dad's car?
Yeah. I went to one NHRA race with my dad's car. We entered it into Super Street, and I don't know what year this was. Maybe it was 94 or 95 or something. And we didn't do very well. I think the first run, it broke the drive shaft, and we didn't. I think we found one at the racetrack, but we didn't do very well.
So that was it for that car?
That was it for me driving it. He still raced it for a long time. He pretty much raced it until I got the funny car, and once I got the funny car, he pretty much, I don't know if he really wanted to. I know he likes it now, but it pretty much ended his racing. He always came with and helped me. So now he's turning it back into a street car. He's got it at the race shop, and he works on it every day or every other day now.
So you went from driving your dad's car at one time straight to a funny car?
Straight to a funny car. Yeah, I went to Frank Hawley's and got the alcohol funny car class and just went right from my dad's car to that.
So what?
To say night and day, it doesn't do it justice. It's quite a bit more powerful than a 9-second car.
Oh yeah. So what year did you get your funny car license for the alcohol funny car?
I don't remember exactly. It was probably. Well, I didn't get it at Hawley's. I was one run away from it, and I think what was happening there was I wanted to stay the next day and get it. I think I made a couple mistakes on the runs, and I needed one more run. But they had the points race the next day, or I believe the points race, so I couldn't do it. I would have had to stay till that was over. So we didn't get it, and I had to, go about it the other way. I raced my altered for a little while, but when I got my funny car license, I had to go and ask all my racer friends to sign my license. So then it was a couple years after that. It was probably 03 or 04 maybe, something like that.
So you drove an fuel altered too?
Yeah, it was on alcohol. That altered went 6:43, the quickest I got it to go. Just at my local track at Great Lakes, and I was growing up in Iowa. I watched Vern Motes race when I was a little kid. When my dad was from Nebraska. Omaha, Nebraska, so we'd go to Scribner and we'd watch Vern Most whip everybody, So I kind of at least knew who he was. When I was racing my altered, I went up to him and asked him if I could kind of hang along, come to the races with him and kind of watch what he's doing. That I wanted a funny car too, and he said, yeah. So I was watching him, and I said, well, my car's almost fast enough as it is to run funny car, not quite. So I was at a race with Ray Drew, and Tim Wilkerson was there, and the Pedregons were there for a funny car show, and I went up to Tim and I asked him if he had any parts for sale, could I buy a body, and I did. And I went down to McKinney, and I'm like, hey, can you put this body on my altered here? And, Murph was a nice guy, but he kindly told me no, that the chassis wasn't good enough, and it could never be a funny car. But he had a chassis that was built for someone else, and I pretty much took that car over. The person decided they didn't want it, so he gave me a pretty good deal on that, put the body on it, and then I was racing.
Funny you mentioned Ray Drew. I got him on tomorrow night.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I just talked to him a couple days ago.
Yeah, I remember seeing Ray when he used to run at Great Lakes Dragway for the, Randy Hanning's car.
Yep.
Yeah, he told me that's how I got my start.
Yep. And he has a lot to do with me starting. When I went there with that altar, I was going up and down the racetrack. Ray was helping me quite a bit. He had the funny car already. Then he had Randy Henning's funny car, but I showed up at the racetrack with my Keith Black, and it had good pieces on it. It still went 643, but it wasn't built right, and I made a lot of mistakes, and so he was helping me, and we ended up getting the thing to run pretty good. But I think he saw it. It at least had the ability to go quick. So he helped me with it.
So now, what year did you finally get your funny car going, Andy?
I think the first year I got the funny car, what I did was, I think that was 05 or 06. And at that point, I was just building it. I was trying to get my license, and I didn't have the screw blower yet. I still had this old nitro roots blower that was just a piece of junk. I mean, it's fine for nitro cars, but it's not good for alcohol cars, and the car wouldn't go fast enough. I was going to the racetracks, and the car would run 660, 670. It just wouldn't quite go quick enough. And I remember, I was asking the guy at Joliet. I had gone like 665 or something, or 660, and you had to run 650. And I'm like, that's close enough. Can I just get my license? He's like, no way, man. You got to go 650. And I remember I had people watching me. It was like Ashley Forrest was standing out there. I'm like, hey, can you watch me race and sign my license? She's like, yeah, cool. And she looks at it and she's like, you didn't go fast enough. I'm like, I know, just sign it anyways. Maybe they'll do it. But they wouldn't do it. So but then, after that, I was so frustrated. I just called up PSI. I think I was talking to Norm on the phone. And I'm like, just sell me everything. Just sell me the blower, the injector, the barrel valve, all the restraints, all the pulleys, the belts, everything I need to put this screw blower on. And we did that. And the next race, it went 595. I got my license. I think that was 05.
So from 05 till now, you've been doing Top Rock funny car.
In fact, just sold the car. The guy's coming to pick it up on Friday. So, but I am buying a new car. I just don't know what I'm getting yet.
So, are you ever gonna get into nitro?
Well, I'd like to race nitro, and I always think about it. I'm good friends with Tim and Dan and Wilkerson's, and to do it, I mean, I could probably get enough money to do it once or twice, maybe, to drive someone else's car or to get my license. But I don't have enough money to do it full time or to do it well. So I know that if I did it, the car wouldn't run good. I mean, look at what's out there. You got Coletta, Schumacher, and Force, and those. I mean, think of those people that tune those cars and the amount of work that they do. Pretty arrogant to say you're just going to jump out there and try to run with them.
You'd have to find a bunch of sponsorship.
Yeah, and even that, even if I got the $1 million or $2 million for a couple years, how long does it last? And if I'm not at my shop, what does the shop do? I lose a bunch of money there. I need to get some other things organized before I try to run nitro. You know, if the opportunity were there, I would definitely try to do it, but it'd have to be the right opportunity.
How about nostalgia nitro?
No, there's only. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it. In fact, a friend of mine has a nitro nostalgia car, and I'm probably going to drive it a little bit next year. He's getting it together the last couple of years. My friend Paul, and he's, I'll probably drive it a little bit. But for me, for my own car, like what I would buy, there's only 2 cars I'd ever drive. It's nitro or alcohol funny car. They're my favorite cars.
So now the funny car that you're selling, did you have any sponsorship for that car?
Oh yeah, Competition Products sponsors it, and Oshkosh, Total Flow, Cylinder Heads, and Detroit, Steve Sanchez, he sponsors it. Hedman Headers, Chris Vandergrift, they sponsor it. NGK, Clevite. I got a lot of sponsors. Manley sponsored me a little bit, and but mostly Bohl Automotive. I think they put the most money in, unfortunately.
Now, who were the crew members that you had for that funny car?
Last year we had a lot of people. It was me and my dad, Frank Parker, Chris King. My girlfriend Becky would come with. Kevin Geiger, Todd Grimm, his daughter. It's kind of like all the races I go to, it's different people every time, so there's so many people. My cousin John helps. Christian Madsen helps. Kyle helps. Kyle Pelfrey from Columbus. It depends what race we're going to is who's coming. A lot of people help. So, and next year possibly my friend Steve Roden, he might help. Possibly Kathy and Hutch, maybe they'll help next year. Hopefully Chris King helps some more. So it's just different people at different times. There's nobody really goes to everyone. My dad almost goes to everyone. I think Frank Parker, I think he may have skipped maybe one race last year. But it just depends who can go to each one, where they're located and who it's convenient for.
So Steve Roden, you're talking about the Legend Racing Steve Roden?
Yep, that's him.
Yeah, I remember watching him with the Chicago Wise guys. Yep. Yeah, he had that nice, he was driving that Bel Air.
Yep. Yeah, he's got a lot of hopes for Pro Mod. I hope he does it. That's a really tough class. I'd say it's almost tougher than our class. Well, I think it is tougher than our class. That's a really, when you have Frank Manzo out there, and what are the names in NHRA Pro Mod? It's just incredible. That's really hard to win that class. My friend Alex Declus, he's helping Bob Rammon Pro Mod, and it's just incredible how difficult it is. You can go out there and run 578 or something, and someone will run 72, and you're 16-1 or DNQ. It's that close. It's like pro stock fields.
Yeah.
Which is good. It's just difficult.
So now, Andy, in the 14 or 15 years you've been doing alcohol funny car, have you been successful?
I think so. I've had, certainly not last year. Last year wasn't a very good year, but I've had more success in it than I thought I would. I was just kind of doing it to have fun, and you slowly get better and better. And 16 and 17 were definitely the best years I ever had in my life. I did way better than I ever thought I would do. I've been 10th and 9th and 8th in the nation. So it's, you never think when you're starting that you'd ever get to do that, but just keep working at it, and you get better and better as you go.
So have you won any Wallies?
Yeah, I won some Wallies. Yeah.
Now for the new car, are you hoping to get it out this year, or are you won't be ready this year if you get a new car?
Yeah, I am going to try to get it out this year. It depends what I do, if I buy a used one or I buy a new one. I also have some people that are interested in buying engines from me. I've been selling the engines. I've really been only running them half a year or a year and selling them. So it just depends what people want to buy. The guy that's buying Brian, the guy that's buying the race car, is buying the trailer too. So I got to buy another trailer. And then a friend of mine, Tyler, he's a boat racer. They're buying an engine from me, and possibly I'm selling another one. So it just depends how much stuff gets sold and how long it takes me to buy new stuff and put it all together. I'm not planning on going to Gainesville. If I do, I would love to, but I just don't think I have enough time to put all the stuff together for it. I want to try to go to Charlotte, but it just depends how quickly all the stuff can go together.
So now with Top Alcohol Funny Car, how many events do you usually run?
I generally run at least 10 a year. I think in last year I didn't go to many. I only went to like 2 points races and maybe 7 nationals, something like that. The year before I went to a bunch of them. I think I went to 8 and 6 maybe. So usually at least 10.
Yeah.
Just depends how the car runs, if you break anything.
So now, Andy, what was the experience like for you for the first time driving an alcohol funny car?
What was the experience like?
Yeah.
I say this and people say I'm doing it wrong, but I say it's better than sex. Yeah, it's you always remember that feeling, sex. But I mean, when I swapped feet at Frank Hawley's, you just could not believe that something can push you forward that fast. It's unbelievable, and it's either you love it or you hate it. He's told me stories of people go there and they don't like it. It's so powerful that it's scary. I loved it. I remember sitting in the car. He straps you in back by the over by his building over there, and then he brings you around. This is Gainesville, where his school is. He brings you around. I'm sitting there in the suit while they're towing me, and I'm like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? I'm scared, and I'm sitting there. But then as soon as they started the motor and put the body down, it was like, come on, it was awesome. And then when I swapped feet, I tried to do everything right. I made a lot of mistakes, but even though I didn't do it perfect, I loved it. I love the way it felt, and I've been hooked ever since.
So now, years ago when you first got into drag racing, did you have any people that inspired you back then?
Yeah. Obviously, first of all, my dad. The second was Vern. He was a great racer, and obviously in our class, I think everybody looks up to Frank Manzo. He's still at the races now. He is, in my opinion, the best racer the NHRA's ever known. Probably one of the all-time greats. And it just shows you that what people can be capable of if you're really good. The guy, he's won more races than anybody ever has. So I would say those 3 people are probably my heroes for racing.
So now, Andy, if anyone is listening to the interview and they're thinking about driving a alcohol funny car, what kind of advice would you give?
I'd say do it. I don't know what you do to prepare yourself for it. I would say it's probably the best thing to work your way up, drive a super gas car, and then learn how to drive that, get good at it. Definitely go to a school like Frank Hawley's school. My friend Chris King went to that school and got his license. He also has his nitro license now. But I would say definitely go to a school like that and and try it out, check it out, and see if you actually like it before you buy all the stuff. You may find that it's not for you. Or you may get addicted and come out and race with us. Hopefully, it's and just don't listen to too many people. Try to do it yourself. There's a lot of advice out there, and a lot of it that I got is, sometimes you learn the most on your own. So.
Now, do you get advice from other drivers out there sometimes?
Yeah, I do. The best advice I've gotten from another racer is Todd Binney. He's become a friend of mine. And when I was first starting racing, he would tell me the things I'm doing wrong and things I'm doing right, and he helped me a lot as a driver. I'm one of my, the guys that won the championship. One of them says to me, he goes, Andy. This wasn't Bellemere, but he goes, Andy, we love watching you. He says, you're our most favorite guy to watch because the car never goes straight. It bounces all over the place, and you drive the heck out of it every run. I'm like, I think he meant that as a compliment, but I didn't take it that way. But yeah, it's
that's funny. So now, do you have any pre-race rituals or superstitions before a race?
No, I don't do that at all. I don't. That's all nonsense. A lot of people, I suppose, if you believe it, then maybe it helps you. Like if you really believe it, but I don't do any of that. I just, I'm not the best leader in the class, which is what I need to work on the most. I would say the car probably runs okay. It needs to run a little quicker, but I'm typically not a 20 or 30 kind of guy. I get them every now and then, but I mean, you look at Westerfield and Bellemere and some of these drivers, every time they go up there, they get a 30 light. That's pretty awesome. It's pretty hard to do.
So now,
yeah, no rituals for me.
Man, just suit up and race, huh?
Suit up and let's go. Yep.
So now, after all these years of drag racing, what keeps you passionate about drag racing still?
Just so difficult. I mean, if you look at my last year, it was actually the worst year I ever had. I didn't win any races. Maybe not my first year, but the second year, I think I've won a race every year I've been out there. So if you don't do it right, nobody will give it to you. I mean, you'll lose. It's definitely a very difficult sport. It's highly competitive. So when you win the race, it's that the feeling you get from that you can't buy, you can't pay for. I mean, it's a pretty good feeling. And especially I think it was 17. I ended the year on a win. I think I won the division championship at Noble, Oklahoma, and that was my last race for the year. So when you can end the year with a win, it pretty much makes you happy all winter.
Okay, so now, when you have a weekend of drag racing, what goes into preparation to get that funny car ready for a weekend of drag racing?
Oh, a lot. We take the car apart and look at everything for every race. So when we come back for a race, the first thing I do, if there's not time at night, if we get back at 2 in the morning or something, I don't do it. But the next day, we unload the car, totally take it apart, look at every part in the car. That way I know if there's something wrong and there's some parts that I need that if I don't have them, that I can order them so I can go to the next race. First step is totally disassemble the car to see if you've done any destruction. And then you assess the damage and order whatever parts you need, and then put it back together for the next race throughout the week. If it's back-to-back races, then there's no time for that. Say you get back on Monday and you need to be on the road driving Wednesday to arrive at the track Thursday. You can't possibly unload the car and take it apart, so we just leave it in the trailer, get to the racetrack Wednesday morning, do the service, or at least they're Wednesday, and do the service on Thursday. But yeah, every race you need to take the car apart and look at it. The parts don't last very long in these cars.
So what's the quickest ET you've had with the funny car? And what track was that at?
That was Gainesville. I think it was 2016 or 17, maybe. I think it's 2017. Yeah.
Nice. So what are some of your favorite tracks to run on?
Favorite tracks? I like Charlotte a lot. The only national event I've won twice. I like Joliet because it's close. I like Gainesville because it's fast. Yeah, I'm starting to like Norwalk too. Norwalk's a good racetrack. I used to like Earlville a whole bunch because it's out in the middle of nowhere. I'm from Iowa. But Earlville started off real good for me. I used to run real good there, but lately I haven't been able to get down that track. So I haven't been there in a while.
So you're in Iowa. Are you close to Central Illinois Dragway?
Well, I used to live in Iowa. I lived in Sioux City. I moved away from there when I was, I think, 16 or 17 years old. I'm in Wisconsin now.
Oh, okay. Now, you do quarter mile and eighth mile racing, or just quarter mile?
Just quarter mile.
Yeah. Have you ever done the eighth mile racing?
Nope, never have.
You know, you get a lot of these guys that say, "Oh, eighth mile is better. It saves on the wear and tear of the car."
Yeah, I don't know. That it would be. Yeah, it'd be a whole bunch cheaper. Our cars would probably run quicker too. But yeah, no, it's NHRA is quarter mile for us, so that's what I do.
Now, you think you'd ever run one of those funny car chaos events?
The cash race?
Yeah, no, the funny car chaos that Chris Graves does.
No, what is that?
He started at in 2017. Then 2017 he had one race only in Texas, and last year he had, I believe, 3 altogether. So then this year he's got planned to make like 5, 6, 7 of them. It's a bring what you run. Any kind of funny car, any kind of funny car you want to bring. It could be a big show funny car, nostalgia, alcohol, nitro, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends what it pays, and I guess it just depends if it's worth going or not. Every time I go to a race, it costs a lot of money. It costs a lot of money to be away from work. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm open to it, but it just depends what it is.
Like last year one of the alcohol guys was dominating for like 2 events. Ken Singleton from Texas, he was beating everybody.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, you can go up against nitro guys. Yeah. You might line up with John Hale.
Yeah. Well, how do we have a chance to win if we're racing against nitro funny cars?
How did Singleton did it?
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know what he's got under the hood of that alcohol funny car, but he's smoking everybody.
Wow. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So now, where do you get all your fire safety equipment from, Andy?
It's mostly Simpson. All the stuff I wear is Simpson. And the chutes. All the stuff on the car is pretty much Taylor stuff. Dennis Taylor.
So, what would you consider to be some of the milestones that you've reached since you've been drag racing?
Well, probably the first win. I didn't think I'd win as early as we did. We won in 2007 at Columbus. Beat Chuck Cheeseman 5-time division champion. Obviously, I was not. We won a little quicker. The next back then, it was now. I remember Dan Wilkerson said this. I was at Norwalk, and the thing goes 5600, I believe, or maybe it was 601. And I'm like, oh, come on. And something happened to Manzo where and this is my luck, something happened to him where he qualified 4. Normally he's number 1. And guess what my prize is? I'm number 1, so I get to race him second round, Of course, I get beat, he beats almost everybody. But I did get it. My friend goes to me, he goes, if you can get that 2,000, well, I won't tell you what he said, but and I didn't change anything. I thought maybe the conditions would come to me, and let's not screw it up. Let's just, be there if Frank makes a mistake in it. And I remember I got to the other end, and Glenn looks at me and he goes, you got it. You went 5:59.9. So I was beat. I was hugging Manzo. He's like, get off me, kid. I beat you. And I'm like, no, I went 5:59. I'm happy. So that was probably my next milestone. Then I'd say probably winning a national event. That's pretty difficult to do. We did that in Charlotte. Yeah, what was that? Charlotte. That was 2012 when I won that one.
Now, throughout your career, have you had any accidents or close calls at all?
Yeah, I've crashed. Me and Foster crashed into each other. It was the maiden voyage on my Mustang, and the parachutes on the old car were mounted on the roof, and on these they were mounted on the, by the roll cage there down lower, Yeah. And I was, when you drive, it's like muscle memory, So you're driving, and I went for the chutes 2 times, and they weren't there. And, Chris was moving around, I was moving around, I was going too fast. I finally reached for the chutes again, and it was over. We hit each other and clobbered our cars all up. They were ruined. The closest thing, I would say, that one wasn't close, that was a crash, but the closest one was with me and Annie Whiteley, I think in 17. I believe it was 2017. And the car was shaking the tires, and that's the best car I ever had. I was coming off of just running all my 40s. I was going 43 in Gainesville, or maybe it was Gainesville I did this. It was either Gainesville or Charlotte. And I got so close to her, you couldn't put a piece of paper between us, but we didn't hit. But that was way too close. The feeling I had in that car, if I could explain that to anybody, you wouldn't believe it. I mean, the car was shaking, and I was pedal it, nothing happens. I'm like, let's just pedal it, let's try to stay in it and see if it goes away. Wasn't it going away? And then now I'm looking the other way. I'm looking at the other side of the racetrack. So I let off the throttle, but it was too late, and it was already heading over there. So I'm turning the wheel left as hard as I can. I'm like, that was stupid. You just screwed up big time, you idiot, And I'm turning, and out of the side window, and like where the pillar is in the front, I can see J&A in her car. I'm off the throttle. I can hear her pipes are vibrating my car as she's going by. It was the most scary feeling. I'm like, I'm going to die, And it was that close. It was so scary. I got to the end. I went over. I hugged her. I said, I'm so sorry. She didn't know what happened because she was just running straight down the racetrack. She didn't know anything happened at that point. That was, the scariest. Short of crashing before, that's the scariest moment I ever had. It was way too close. And it was all my fault.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that second right there when I was looking at her car, hearing, how close it was. I mean, you're thinking right at that second, bad things are about to happen, and you're probably not going to remember any of this, But luckily it didn't happen.
Well, knock on wood, Andy, that you won't have any accidents soon.
Yeah.
So, all right, now you ready for some fun questions here?
Sure.
Now, besides drag racing, you have any other hobbies?
Oh, probably lately it's cooking. I like to cook. You know, fun. Come home from work and make different meals and stuff. I'd say that's probably. I guess I'm kind of trendy, so I'd say cooking is my fun thing to do right now. I'm not saying I'm very good at it, but I like it.
So, what would you consider your best dish that you make?
Oh, my best dish. Oh, lately I guess it's burritos. I've been making burritos a lot, and I don't make them with meat or nothing. They're beans and rice and all kinds of green verde sauce and um,
That sounds good.
cheese on it. Put it, yeah, yeah, it's good for you. Yeah, then probably I make a lot of shrimp stuff, spicy Cajun shrimp. Another one that I tried recently is shrimp and hoisin sauce with broccoli. You put the broccoli in the oven and brown it. And, you know, um, yeah, probably those three at this point. I'm trendy with food. You know, a while ago it was steaks. Well, you know, I used to make pizzas for a while. I got a pizza book from my girlfriend's parents on how to make the dough and let it rise and do all that, which is actually pretty difficult. A lot harder than it seems.
So, what's your girlfriend's favorite dish that you make?
I don't know.
She
Yeah, I don't know what her favorite is.
she never tell
Probably,
she never
probably
tells you,
breakfast.
Andy, I love whatever. You know.
Yeah, she probably likes the breakfast the most, which I change that all the time. I'm making Scoobies now, which are pretty simple. Before that, it was huevos rancheros. What do you call it? Sauce over like a omelet with cheese in the center, and I cut the potatoes up and fry the potatoes, and that was my thing like a month ago. I'm trendy with cooking.
Yeah. All right. All right. Now, while we're on the subject of food, what's your favorite food to eat?
My favorite food.
Yeah, your favorite food.
For a while, it was sushi. Now it's probably Mexican. It was Mexican for a while and stopped, but I got lucky lately because one of our employees, his mom makes Mexican food on Friday, and she brings it into us, and it's delicious. So I tried making the burritos, but the way I do it is obviously it's American Mexican food. The food they bring in is authentic, which is way better. But yeah, probably burritos now. It's my favorite thing to make.
All right. What's your favorite beverage?
No, I don't drink anything. Water or beer, that's all I drink.
You have a favorite beer?
Favorite beer? Yeah, and I don't remember what it's called. I'm gonna guess and see if this is right. But we were climbing the wall, me and Becky and Kalia tells us to go to the it's in like a trendy place in Milwaukee, so it's a college area, whatever. So we go to the college bar, and it has all these tappers, and I tend to like German beers.
Right.
So this thing was, I think it's either a Francis Connor or I believe it was a Francis Connor Dunkel, and it was out of the tap. And I'm like, I'll try this. And Callie looks at me and she's like, that's dark, you're not gonna like that. I'm like, I'm trying it anyways. Bring me that. So they bring it to me and I drink it and it's delicious. And I'm like, oh, this is great. And I give it to Becky and Callie, and then they order them. But I haven't been able to find it since then. You go to the stores, they don't have it there.
All right. Now, Andy, if you're able to do time travel and go backwards in time, would you do anything differently with your drag racing career?
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. Probably not. I mean, I'd probably know how to not blow things up a lot. That'd be the nicest thing. Maybe not waste so much money from not knowing stuff. But sometimes it's good to learn that way.
Yeah, that's why they say you learn from your mistakes.
Yep.
So, what would be your favorite music to listen to?
Oh, I'm trendy with that too. Before you called, I was listening to Creedence. I listened to older stuff. I was real trendy with Bob Seger recently. The Eagles. Um, what else? I don't know. I'm like listening to Jackson Brown, just older stuff usually. When I was, sometimes it's metal. Sometimes I like to listen to listen to Metallica or Pantera or Korn or System of a Down or stuff. I like that too. But as I get older, I tend to like it less. I'm 43 now, so I'm try to relax when I come home instead of get more amped up.
Nah, you're never too old, man. Age isn't nothing but a number.
What's that? Age is nothing but a number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm 50 and I'm still listening to the hard rock and heavy metal and all that stuff.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, usually like hard rock, heavy metal goes hand in hand with drag racing.
Yep. Yep. That's for sure.
Like that Motley Crue song, "Kickstart My Heart."
Yep, that's a good song. I was actually, my friends are in a band, and I was in a band a little while for them. I played the drums, and they kicked me out because I wasn't very good at it. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun times.
Yeah. So do you go to concerts at all?
I haven't gone to a concert in a while. I'm trying to think of where the last concert I went to was. And I don't even know. But yeah, I've been to a lot of concerts. Yeah.
You ever go to Milwaukee? You ever go to Milwaukee Summerfest?
Oh yeah, yeah, I've been there many times. Yeah, yeah, I saw Stone Temple Pilots there. I saw quite a few bands there. Best concert. One of the concerts I remember the most was, and they were so much different than everyone else. You remember the band called The Killers?
Yeah.
They had Mr. Brightside and all that. I think they had that album, and then they kind of, I don't know what happened to them now. I guess they're gone. I don't know. I'm not really big into music anymore. But I remember I went to their show. And it was a local show. It was at the Eagles, which was not a real big venue. And these guys are up there playing their songs, and they're doing a good job, but they did it different than everybody else. Like you'd see Pantera or Metallica or some band like that. And they're like, hey, Milwaukee, drink beer and they throw things at you or whatever. And these people were telling jokes in between their songs. They'd play their songs, then they'd stop. They'd start telling jokes, and people would laugh. They'd start playing the songs again. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know what happened to them. They kind of had that album, then I don't know what happened to them. If they had another one or not.
Yeah, there's a lot of bands that disappear. Like what happened to Fall Out Boy? I don't know what happened to them either.
Yeah.
Then you get your one-hit wonders out there.
Yep. That's right.
So what was the greatest memory? Was that be winning the Nationals?
For drag racing?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, definitely the U.S. Nationals. I mean, when that day was happening, it was, it was just automatic. Like, I think back of that day when it was happening, and I wasn't running bad. The car was running 62, but at that time, there weren't a whole bunch of cars running 42 then, so it was okay back. That was 15, and it just worked out for me. I had the right opponents. I beat them all and won the race, and it just worked out well for me. I didn't make any mistakes, and I remember I get to the end of the race, I'm looking at my dad, and I said, "We just won the U.S. Nationals." Like, well, what else can you think of to do in drag racing that would be, you know what I mean? It's, that was the probably, it'll probably never be that good again because the first time you do it is better,
Yeah. So now, what would be your most embarrassing moment on the track?